Let's bring in our great pal, Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump, Fox News contributor extraordinaire, as always. A couple things, Kellyanne. Let me play this life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. One of my favorite. You know, you and I always talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. President Trump mentioned it last night. I'd say he did a pretty good job putting the word out. But here it comes. Let me just play this tape for you. Get your comment.
From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together, we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year.
Well, it's a great promise. He's still draining the swamp. That's what people want. And the other thing is, Kellyanne, you know what? Think of it. So I interviewed last night. We had a great interview with Speaker Mike Johnson. And just a few moments ago, you may have heard part of it, with Senate Majority Leader John Thune. They are working to help him. They are signing on, okay? Whether it's Save America and the Citizenship Bill and photo ID, whether it's tax cuts and deregulation, whether it's holding up, closing the border, whether it's ending sanctuary cities, et cetera, et cetera. Mr. Thune suggested, by the way, there might be another reconciliation bill in order to solve and get some of these things in. In other words, they're all working together. Mr. Trump is not only convincing the voters, he's convinced his party and his party leaders, which is different than what happened in the first term. And you know what? That's a big difference. It makes a lot of difference.
It's a huge difference, Larry. I'd say three major differences. One is exactly what you said, the president's ability to work with a Republican-led House and Senate that will work back with him, that will put the America First agenda squarely in the center, and then try to whip those votes. And we have much more narrow margins now. We have exactly the same Senate number, 53 Republicans, as we did in the first term, but the margins in the House are so much slimmer. We had about a 41-seat majority last time, and this time we have two or three. But I think that the effectiveness of these two leaders to remind their party adherents what the difference with the distinction between the two parties is. Larry, we wish more Democrats would vote against sanctuary cities, for closing the border. Economic security is immigration security, definitely. We wish more Democrats, or one Democrat, Larry, including the 11 who sit in seats that Trump won in 2024, while those Democrats won, 11 of them. Not a single one of them voted for the one big beautiful bill. So they're against doubling the child tax credit. They're against 21% corporate tax rate so that those benefits can go back to the workers. You can do 100% expensing for factories, for facilities, depreciation. Democrats are against all of this. But I think the ability of President Trump to have succeeded and the CNN poll to have gone up 10 points because of this masterclass of a speech means that people are listening to the full sentence. They want specifics and solutions. I love the fact that last night President Trump quickly but effectively dispatched the Democrats as the party that made life, everyday life, unaffordable and less secure. This president is bringing receipts with the twin pillars of security and affordability. And he's being specific with the vision piece, Larry. As we celebrate 250, he's saying, look, I know not every kid has the same chance when they're born. Here are the Trump accounts. I know half of the country can't participate in an employer-sponsored retirement fund. We're going to match that as a government with $1,000. And Larry, the contrast between the two parties, last point, could not be more clear. The people who sat and did not applaud for American citizens over illegal aliens, did not applaud for less regulation, more energy creation, housing affordability, healthcare affordability. They're just the better behaved ones in the hall. What about the 73 Democrats who didn't even bother to show up? They're out there posting on social media, performing, protesting, while President Trump is delivering an agenda that brings us so far away from the broken mess Biden-Harris put us in, and he's got more to come in the next 3 years. That speech was empathetic, patriotic, and optimistic. It was one of his best ever.
Yes, you love the optimism too. You know what? The Dems cannot put their pants back on and be a serious party unless and until they learn how to applaud patriotism. That 100-year-old guy, veteran there, Trump gives him, and he did it a couple of times. What is wrong with patriot? There was a time, come on, you and I remember, we've been around, the last 40 years or so, lots of Democrats agreed with Ronald Reagan. Lots of Democrats agreed with George W. Bush about patriotism. For heaven's sakes, you can be patriotic and you can still have your differences on social policy or economic policy. But they're not going to be a serious party. They're never going to be able to put their pants on again or their skirts on or whatever until they can show the American voters that they believe in American patriotism, which was part of Trump's appeal. Trump was very gracious last night. He was asking them to applaud, and they still wouldn't do it. I mean, really, you think about that. He was shaking John Roberts' hands. Was he angry at the Supreme Court last night? He didn't show it with the tariff decision. I think that's very cool. I think that shows you how well he probably did. I bet you all these polls are going to look good. I bet you they will.
They will. And he's delivering. Look, the Democrats made a scene and President Trump and the Republicans took a stand. There's a huge difference. And your point about putting your pants and your skirt back on and acting like adults.
Yes.
You have to start with stop shouting and wearing buttons that say F ICE. How is that even allowed in the chamber?
I know.
When these men and women are being doxxed and attacked. And so you're right. Start acting like a grown-up party. And look, I think the best bet for the midterms is success. And the president laid it out last night. The ads are one thing, Larry, for free of charge. President Trump gave every Republican candidate the blueprint for winning last night by ticking through the list of accomplishments and reminding people 2 short years ago, we were in a hot mess of inflation and high interest rates and low optimism and energy dependence and regulation for our small businesses, wars on fossil fuels, wars abroad. It takes a while to turn that battleship around, but he's doing it, and he's appealed. Look what he's doing with AI now. This is brand new for this president, and instead of running around, he's saying, hey, go build it. This is the next technology of the future.
He made the sale. He made the sale and then some last night, okay? You're right. It was one of his greatest speeches.
He made the speech about everybody else.
And
Larry,
then some.
Yes.
I got to get out. I got to get out.
And everybody can, and the Republicans can do it. He made the speech about everybody else. It was not about himself. It was about those heroes, and it was about we the people and the fruits of his labor.
Right.
And it will continue.
He used all those guests to illustrate points. That's a very powerful way to do it. Kellyanne Conway, the best of the best. Thank you ever so much.